There was a flood in Cainta, when suddenly and Marikina, and suddenly I saw lots. It was like a beach. It was like Boracay with all of these boats rescuing people stranded in cars. You didn't see that in Indoy. At least this time around you will see that. And that's important. The big problem in Indoy was it seemed like government wasn't there for the first day. Okay? And it contributed to the panic of people. Okay? So local governments are important. And of course, all of this requires good governance. At the international level, as I pointed out, where tough decisions have to be made if we are to go ahead of the curve of the problem. So let me end though by asking yourself, that you need to ask yourself and make this personal for you. For me, it's personal. I have 3 kids, 3 sons. Some of you probably have the same age as my sons, or younger, or a little bit older. They will be the one to face this world. It will be a different world than we face. I mean, those worst things that we have said, those worst impacts, they'll, at the height of their lives, that's the one that they have to deal with. So for me, it's personal. I mean, I guess if your child, for example, gets sick with dengue, and if you can trace that to, the fact that dengue is proliferating because of warmer weather, then climate change becomes something very personal for you. Because that's really the only way people will act if it becomes personal to them. No? So I end by sharing this haiku, which is not a haiku, by the way. An English teacher once told me, that's not a haiku, but I call it a haiku, just the same. I wrote this verse, maybe it's English, a verse in Kyoto. But because it was in Kyoto, I called it a haiku. When I was negotiating the Kyoto Protocol for the Philippines, and when I negotiate, I don't sleep sometimes for 5 days. When I was younger, for 10 days. Now I can go up to 5 days of not sleeping in a negotiation to really, because I'm one of those that really feel very strongly that we need to find a solution and work it out and not leave the room until you've worked it out. And when I was asked why you do that, I wrote this as an answer. Well, I do this because I do not want to be afraid of the rains and long for the memory of how they once made our mountains more beautiful to see. And I do not want to weep for my children as I watch the sea. So, if you are motivated by that, then you should be able to act, go what we call a low-carbon diet yourself. You look at your own lifestyle, you look at your own family's lifestyle, and you make the changes necessary. From very simple things. I mean, if you do an energy audit of your own house, you will be surprised at how much you can actually also save. At the same time, how much you contribute less, how many emissions you can contribute less by just making simple changes. But also adapt, and let me end with that. That's the House of Dakay in Batanes. The House of Dakay in Batanes is a good metaphor to end this talk, because it's a house made of actually thousands of tons of straw and stone and built not just by one family, not by one person, not by one family, but actually by a community and by generations. It couldn't have been built in like one generation. I mean, it took a while, maybe 20 to 30 years before it was able to build these houses of stone that withstand the biggest storms that could hit Batanes, which ironically doesn't get hit by storms anymore as part of climate change. But that's a good metaphor of what we can do if you actually build a house like this, right? And you build a country like this, you build your community like this, then even climate change is something we can survive. And maybe won't affect us as much if we do it. Thank you.